Trump is winning big time and Gavin Newsom is losing. The more time goes on, the more comes out that Governor Gavin Newsom is to blame for the LA riots and his career is going up in flames. Plus, Elon Musk wants to mend the fence with President Trump. Mayor Karen Bass of LA says people in Los Angeles had to steal iPhones and Nike shoes because they are triggered by Donald Trump, as if that makes anything okay. All of this and much, much more. Thank you so much for liking and supporting this channel. It helps me out, so thank you guys so much. Elon Musk has started the process of making amends with President Trump. He's taken down all the negative posts about Trump, alleging his connection to criminal and sicko Jeffrey Epstein. Behind the scenes, I'm hearing that he feels very bad and would like to rectify things. He wrote on Twitter, "I regret some of the posts about President Trump last week. They went too far." Many are saying, Elon, this is a great start. We hope that you will continue to come back to our side as we need you. But we'll see. This was a big deal. President Trump ultimately is the only one that can forgive him because he's the one that he offended. But this is a step in the right direction. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has now taken swift action to deploy the Texas National Guard to San Antonio, where it's anticipated that there will be large riots as activist groups are calling for that to happen. Now, the San Antonio Police Department confirmed the National Guard's presence, but declined to release operational details for their safety. Tensions are expected to escalate with an anti-ICE demonstration scheduled for Wednesday evening and an anti-Trump rally planned on Saturday in Washington, D.C. Isn't that interesting? They're going to do this massive rally and potential riot as President Trump tries to do this 250th anniversary parade in Washington, D.C. Now, many are saying that is this the next Capitol insurrection where Trump is walking right into their hands? Also, 1,500 rallies are expected to happen this coming Saturday. Now, one of the heiresses of Walt Disney, she put out a very expensive ad telling everybody to rise up and go make your voice heard. Many are saying, what are you doing? You're supposed to be pro-family, pro-America, and here you are fighting for illegal criminals. To add another layer to this, a TikTok user who was involved in the LA riots for money has come forward. He says he feels bad. He wasn't there to do any kind of damage, and now he's blowing the whistle. Let's go ahead and listen to this together because I found it to be extremely fascinating.
When I was out in Los Angeles protesting the ICE deportations for the past few days, besides the fact that I got paid $150 to do so per day, I kept seeing signs everywhere that this was being funded by somebody much higher than the person that I had met. For instance, they would give us certain streets or certain targets to go to, and on those streets, there would be pallets of things that could cause destruction to the community. I am not joking. For instance, you turn a corner, boom, there's a pallet of bricks. Oh, that's convenient. Let's destroy the community. And y'all know me, I'm a good guy, but I truly do not care that much about the ICE deportations. I just wanted that $150 a day. But I got to thinking, man, whoever is funding this must really hate this country. So as time goes on while we're protesting and things evolve, they evolve in a lot more violent nature. For instance, instead of there being a pallet of bricks on the target neighborhood or target street that we are protesting on, it'll be a pallet of flammable objects. So it was at that moment when I saw that pallet of Molotov cocktails sitting on the ground, I thought, man, should I really be doing this? Like, this is bad news. This is going to get way worse. Now, I'm not from Los Angeles or live in Los Angeles, so I don't really care about destroying that community, but I'm American after all. Like, this is not good. Moral to the story is there are certain people in our government that wants us to go burn the local police station down, but in actuality, the corruption is at a much higher level.
Okay, now President Trump has called for an investigation into who is funding this. He wants a paper trail back to figure out where is the money coming from. I'll go into this in greater detail, but this is a guy who did not do anything violent. He did not throw any bricks. No, he was literally just there with a sign being paid. And then when he started seeing everything hit the fan, he was like, I'm out of here. I love America more than I need $150. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here right now. So now, conservative commentator Charlie Kirk shared a video on X saying that this thing is beginning to spread. And President Trump has said they are also anticipating it, ready to activate the National Guard in every state and city necessary. And they're saying, whatever amount of force you hit us with, we will hit you harder. But let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say, because this thing is spreading.
Hey, everybody. So now the unrest, the bedlam is spreading to Chicago, to New York, and to Atlanta. This kind of unrest will not be tolerated and warranted. In Atlanta, people are climbing up on cop cars and they are throwing objects. And we are seeing this sort of peaceful protesting spread across the country. From what I understand, the raids are just going to continue. They will keep going. And law and order will prevail. In fact, there was just a rerun of my show going on right here. That's Tricia McLaughlin from the Department of Homeland Security. Really phenomenal what the Trump administration is doing to keep your community safe. And so this chaos will not be tolerated, but it is spreading right now. We are going to draw a line, and we are going to make sure America remains peaceful, and we make it great again.
Okay, so it is. I just want everyone to be careful this weekend, because this absolutely is spreading. I believe most of these people, they are wanting to protest peacefully. I believe it's a small handful of agitators, paid actors, and really, really bad people. And of course, the criminals, they're not going to just go away easily. They are absolutely going to fight back. Now, listen to this. Mayor Karen Bass said the people in Los Angeles felt compelled to rob Nike. They needed new shoes. And Apple, they needed new iPhones because they are triggered by President Trump. His actions are so triggering that they absolutely need to get these new things. That the White House provoked them to become criminals. They weren't criminals before. They would never do this. Let me know in the comments, do you buy this crap? I mean, this is like diarrhea flowing out of her mouth. It's nasty, it's wrong, and it's just lies. Now, speaking of liars, the recent Los Angeles riots sparked by protests over federal immigration raids have drawn sharp criticism, mostly on Governor Gavin Newsom, with some blaming his handling of the situation as the main cause. Now, critics on X argue Newsom's refusal to activate the National Guard promptly allowed unrest to escalate, accusing him of prioritizing political posturing over the public safety of California residents. They claim this public statement that President Trump's National Guard deployment would escalate matters incited further chaos, with one user suggesting Newsom's words greenlit the rioters like it was code. Burn it down. And even Mayor Bass has said this isn't going to stop until Trump pulls the people out. Now, many believe that's code for saying we're going to continue to burn the city down until we get our way. Like, this is a massive baby tantrum fit. It just happens to be deadly, happens to be expensive, happens to be done with a lot of fire and brute force. Now, additionally, Newsom's claim of a phone call with Trump where he allegedly urged de-escalation has been labeled a lie. Trump denied discussing the National Guard in the beginning. This perceived dishonesty, coupled with images of riots of Mexican flags in flames and other fueled narratives, leads many to believe that Newsom was lying. Well, he was. President Trump gave the receipts over to Fox News, where he was able to prove that he called him and then called him again, and they spoke. They spoke on the phone for 16 minutes. So Gavin Newsom is a liar. Let's go ahead and watch that report together.
Going on between Gavin Newsom and President Trump. Gavin Newsom, after President Trump said in the noon hour in the Oval Office that he called him yesterday or the other day, Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, "There was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to." Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One on his way to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he'll be in just a little while. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, "get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called." So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th. Now, granted, this was on Saturday. But look, there's 1:22 o'clock in the morning. Which would have been 10 o'clock at night, 10:22 at night, California time. There was an outgoing call for 4 seconds. And then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes. So that from the president, which says is proof that he spoke to Gavin Newsom early in the morning, our time, late at night, Friday night, would have been June 6th, I guess, in Los Angeles. So, Governor, over to you for the response.
I was going to say that's next, right? We're waiting to see what Governor Newsom has a response to the president's. Essentially, what he has there is the receipt for what he says is the call that was made.
It's all about the
long conversation. Yeah, exactly. In a 16-minute conversation. As you mentioned, as things were heating up is the timing of that call, as things were really just beginning to get started. So it's
okay. Wow. So here's the receipts. Gavin Newsom, he called you. Now, while you're sitting on your thumbs, at 1:30 in the morning, President Donald J. Trump is concerned about America. President Trump is concerned about LA and the riots. He's telling him, do something now. What does Gavin Newsom do? He does something. He goes on national TV and lies, saying that the president never actually called him. We have the receipts, dude. Please stop lying and do what is best for the American people. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county recorder, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you don't know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. So when's the last time you checked your home's title? If your answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Gardner at HomeTitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring on your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code Gardner. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Gardner. All right, now as tensions are still on the rise over immigration enforcement, President Trump has authorized even more National Guard and 700 Marines to be helpful to keep people safe. They will not be going in with guns and grenades and bazookas and rocket launchers like left-leaning media would have you believe. Thanks to Newsom, however, we're now learning that the deployment of the military for housing, meals, travel, it's going to cost the American taxpayer $134 million. Now, they were busting Pete Hegseth's humps over in Washington, D.C., saying, what a waste of money. And Pete Hegseth is like, how is this a waste of money? A city in America was being invaded with foreign flags. A city in America was being burned to the ground. A city in America was doing an insurrection, disobeying the government. It's crazy. It's crazy. But you know what? You guys, they had to rob those Nike shoes and Apple Store because they're just so absolutely triggered by what is going on. So U.S. taxpayers are going to have to pay through taxation to clean up Gavin Newsom's stupidness in California. However, now a California lawmaker has come forward and he's saying, I have the receipts. I know exactly who has funded this on a local and federal level. You're not going to believe it. Let's watch this together.
In February, when I was still on the budget committee, I raised concerns about 73 left-wing organizations that were receiving taxpayer funds, state taxpayer funds, for a COVID-19 project that completely wasteful. One of those groups was the Coalition for Immigrant, what do they call themselves? Humane Rights of Los Angeles, CHRLA. This is one of the many groups on the ground in LA that has received state taxpayer funding to organize violent protests against law enforcement. And so when Democrats say, well, we don't have the money to fund Prop 36, how about this? How about in this budget that's coming up this week, zero out every single dime for groups like CHRLA across the state of California? And we're not talking about a little bit of money. We're talking about in the neighborhood of $100 to $150 million. You know, that just happens to be a pretty darn good down payment on fully funding Prop 36. So this week, I always say budgets are not financial documents. I mean, for a lot of us budget geeks, they kind of are. There are a lot of numbers, a lot of zeros. Budgets are reflections of your leaders' values. They are reflections of what the politicians want to prioritize with limited money.
Okay, so this Republican who's gone through the books is saying that Gavin Newsom and the Democrats that control the government there in California, they gave out money to over 70 different groups. One of them, CHRLA, almost $150 million. We're also now learning from Mike Benz and others, as you dig in to USAID, the same group was given $34 million. This is taxpayer money. So just like with George Soros, where they put up a little and then they got government to give them huge budgets to fund the invasion of America, these same groups have been funded by taxpayers to overthrow the government, to take over cities, to burn down cities. Now, I told you earlier in this broadcast, President Trump has called on Pam Bondi. Senator Josh Hawley is calling on Congress to launch an immediate investigation to follow the money trail. Who is funding all of this? Where is that money going? And it's going to go back to government. It's going to end up showing that Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, others that are internally in California's Congress, they are the ones that funded this. They funded the invasion, the overthrow, the riots, the burning down of their own city, and they did it with taxpayer money. California, and then on a federal level through USAID. Now, I want some names. I want some people thrown in jail. This is such a waste of time and money and tax money and resources. I cannot believe this. It's absolutely insane. Now, the person who is going to pay the price most is not going to be Donald Trump. He continues to rise in the polls. Even right now, Rasmussen, others, they're polling. What they're finding, this is what the American people want. They want America safe again. They want America skilled again. They want American jobs. They want to pay for their families. They don't want to be dependent on the government. You know who the big loser of this is going to be? It's going to be Gavin Newsom. Now listen to what Victor Davis Hanson had to say about Newsom and his future.
But here's what's interesting. The mayor, Karen Bass, came down in her public comments on the side of the protesters who were protesting the idea of deportation at all, kind of like Kamala Harris used to march against deportation. And Gavin Newsom then gave a series of editorializations that I think have ruined his chances ever to be a serious national candidate. He said this was chaotic. This was reckless. And he said that they were just trying to have an arbitrary deportation quota. Gavin, 12 million people came into the country illegally. That was 3 million a year. That was 250,000 per month. That was over 8,000 a day. They have not been able to deport more than 1,000 on most days, sometimes 500. They would have to deport 8,000 people every single day for 4 years to get back where we were with 20 million illegal aliens when Joe Biden entered office. So it's not a quota, it's an effort to stop an invasion. And it's a very funny invasion because now Gavin is mad that they nationalized the California Guard. Trump has that ability. And people said, no president, they have to request it. No, they don't. You think that JFK said to George Wallace when he nationalized the Alabama National Guard, said, would you please let us nationalize your guard so you can be removed from stopping African-American people going to the University of Alabama? No.
Okay, so Gavin Newsom, his political career is over. His chances of being President Gavin Newsom are dead. And guess what they found today? His wife, Miss Newsom, isn't at all concerned about the families in California or the optics. She literally went shopping at some of the most expensive stores in California with a $4,000 purse surrounded by bodyguards. Rules for thee, but not for me. This is how the elite live. This is what people are really, really mad about. Gavin Newsom, between homelessness and the fires and now the LA riots, the drug situation, the illegal immigrants, $9 billion in free health care for illegals, a $25 billion speed train that's the length of a football field. Dude, your career is toast. It's absolutely toast. Okay, in some military news, President Trump announced plans to restore the name of 7 U.S. Army bases that were changed under President Biden. Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee. These bases were renamed under Joe Biden following a 2021 congressional order to honor diverse American heroes. Speaking at Fort Bragg, President Trump denounced the renaming as superstitiously harmful, claiming that the original names were good enough. The announcement comes as the White House prepares for the June 14th military parade in Washington, D.C. It's supposed to be huge and great and super patriotic. However, my worry is this is also when there's going to be a huge anti-Trump rally in Washington, D.C. Please, everybody be careful. President Trump, they are trying to find their next George Floyd. They are trying to find their next Capitol insurrection. They want to find some reason to impeach you, to drag your name and reputation through the mud. Everybody must be vigilant. All right, that's my news update for today. If you got value out of this video, please give it a like and share it with family and friends. Also, we're almost to 2 million amazing truth seekers. So hit that subscribe button and let me continue to be your source of truth and news. I love you guys. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.